The concept behind the module is that you could set up each of your piece of equipment in the software and then track utilization of that equipment on the job. So right here, we're looking at the equipment setup screen, keeping track of the status of the equipment. You can set up your own type. This is a user-defined list here, so you can catalog your equipment. As you can see, fields to keep track of various pieces of information about the equipment. You're able to set up the depreciation here. So, for example, I have a client, they have, I think 1,500 pieces of equipment. So they've set all of their equipment up in here, and they're able to post and track depreciation individually by each piece of equipment. You can also set up the loans. So if a lot of your pieces have loans payable on them, this enables you to once a month or however often you want, cut all of those checks or enter all those payments into the software. It also has a cost recovery tool. This is information you would enter as a user, and it helps you come up with some costs for operating and for idle and standby. And then you can take that information into the final tab and set up billing rates and recovery rates for the equipment. Once the piece of equipment is in the system, it now becomes usable from various parts of the system. So you have a tool called equipment allocation. And this is where you could come in on a daily basis and indicate what job the equipment was used at. If the job has phases, you can do that. Place a cost code, the personnel who operated it, indicate the costs associated with the operation, and then for the time and material billing module, you're also able to indicate what you'd like to bill this time at, and then you can pull that into time and material billing later. There is a feature in project management where you can enter daily field reports. And I'll pull this up really quick. Each screen is a day record for one job. And in this screen, you can indicate the employees that worked, their cost code, the type of hour, the hours worked. You can also indicate the pieces of equipment used. And then you can pull this information into various aspects of the software. So for example, if you enter your employee activity here, when you're generating your payroll records, you can import the data from your daily field reports and it'll come in here and generate the payroll records for you. And the same thing with the equipment allocation. You can import from the daily field reports. So anything you would have put in that daily field report, import it to create the payroll records, and then import it here to create the equipment allocation. When it comes to the equipment module, like I talked about, you have the allocation feature, which allows you to allocate operated standby and idle time. You can also bill the pieces of equipment like you saw in the equipment screen by day, week, and month. So you have a lot of options, and any equipment allocations that you do, they not only create a job cost record, right, costing that piece of equipment to the job, but if you do time and material billing, there is a T&M module within accounts receivable that will pull in any of those computed costs and allow you to bill them out to the client. The other features down here are the ability to book your depreciation entries. So again, this is sample data, so there's just not a lot in it, but I do have a client that's about 1,500 pieces. So this allows them to track and post their depreciation with just one entry, and they're actually tracking each piece of equipment individually. Additionally, as costs happen, so for example, if you have internal mechanics that work on your equipment, that's what this feature of equipment repaired is for within the payroll record. So you can catalog your mechanic's time, and that becomes a part of the cost record for that piece. So I know with contractors that are equipment intense, it's good for them to know, hey, we're working on this piece of equipment every week. It's time to retire it. It's costing us more than it's worth, kind of a thing. And then when costs come in, let's say, purchases related to the equipment, filters, oil, belts, whatever, or if you are using an outside mechanic. Similar to the way that the system handles job costing, you'll have a specific range of accounts. So here's a little, this is sample data again, so obviously if you have a chart of accounts that you want to stick with, you can bring that over into the system. But you'll notice here there's a direct expense account range. That's how the system controls job costing. So anything that you choose from this range of accounts, the stage is going to force you to cost that activity to a job. Similar with this equipment shop range, this is related to your equipment module. So if you create an AP invoice and you indicate an account with this range, it's automatically going to bring up a window and say, tell me how to cost this to the various pieces of equipment. So it allows you to really keep track of all the costs associated with equipment, from outside purchases to internal labor used to maintain the equipment. Under the equipment reports, you've got a cost journal. And so this looks like it's pretty simple activity. But you have a button right here to modify the report.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Nikki, for going through all of that. Okay, everyone, have a good day.